The man who escaped prison. 4 times in a row in genius and effortless ways. In the depths of the Texas jail system, where the law reigned supreme and guards wielded absolute control, one man dared to defy the odds. Stephen J. Russell was no ordinary criminal. He was a mastermind of deception, an escape artist whose ingenuity left authorities baffled. Over the course of 5 years, he achieved the impossible, escaping from prison not once, not twice, but 4 times, each escape more daring and brilliant than the last. But what drove him to embark on this perilous path? How did he manage to outsmart the system repeatedly? Was it sheer luck, or was he a mastermind with an unparalleled ability to manipulate those around him? Russell's story is not just about escape. It's about his ability to adapt, deceive, and outthink even the most rigorous prison security measures. Each prison break was not just an act of desperation, but a meticulously crafted masterpiece of deception and audacity. This is the unbelievable story of a man who challenged fate, rewrote the rules of imprisonment, and left an indelible mark on the history of criminal escapes. In the early 1990s, Stephen J. Russell was leading an unremarkable life as an accountant. He was a diligent employee with no prior criminal record, a man who followed the rules of society. But fate had other plans. When his manager unfairly fired him, Russell found himself consumed by anger and resentment. The injustice he experienced ignited a flame of defiance within him, one that would soon turn him into one of the most cunning fraudsters in history. The weight of betrayal and the desperation to reclaim his sense of control led him to explore the dark corridors of deception. He realized that society operated on a web of trust, and if he could manipulate that trust, he could bend the rules to his will. His first foray into crime was a calculated move, small, seemingly insignificant, fraudulent schemes that served as experiments. Each success emboldened him, pushing him further into a world of deceit. Before long, he was no longer the man who followed the rules. He was the man who rewrote them. With his sharp intelligence and natural charm, Russell decided to exploit the loopholes in the system. He started small, orchestrating fraudulent insurance claims by staging accidents. Each scheme grew in complexity, allowing him to pocket thousands of dollars. As his confidence grew, so did the scale of his deceptions. He studied financial documents, learned to forge signatures, and even created fake identities to secure loans and credit lines. His ability to manipulate people and systems made him almost untouchable for a while. But as with all great cons, the law eventually caught up with him. His increasing greed led him to take riskier moves, drawing the attention of authorities. In 1992, one of his fraudulent operations was exposed, leading to his arrest and a 6-month prison sentence. Though seemingly defeated, Russell viewed his time behind bars not as a punishment, but as an opportunity to study the system from within, setting the stage for his first great escape. Prison was not a place Russell intended to stay for long. Within a month of his incarceration, he meticulously studied the routines of the guards, searching for vulnerabilities. He observed the smallest details, the guards' schedules, their habits, and the frequency of external workers entering the facility. That's when he noticed something peculiar. Workers who entered the prison for maintenance tasks were allowed to exit freely, wearing civilian clothes and carrying handheld radios. He realized that some workers didn't interact much with the guards, which meant they weren't easily recognizable. If he could blend in seamlessly, he could walk right out of the heavily guarded facility without raising suspicion. This insight became the foundation for his bold escape plan. Russell devised a simple yet brilliant plan. He managed to smuggle in a set of civilian clothes and a radio. Dressed as a worker, he confidently walked toward the guard room, mimicking the workers' mannerisms. With a discreet nod, he signaled the guard to open the door. Without a second thought, the guard complied. Just like that, Russell was a free man. For 2 years, he lived undetected in Florida, reveling in his newfound freedom. He enjoyed the luxurious lifestyle that his fraudulent schemes afforded him, spending lavishly on expensive hotels, designer clothes, and fine dining. However, the thrill of deception soon became an addiction, pushing him to devise even riskier financial scams. Russell's intelligence allowed him to manipulate loopholes in the system effortlessly, making him a formidable opponent for law enforcement. But his thirst for wealth led him back to crime, as he began orchestrating more elaborate fraud schemes, including forging corporate checks and assuming false identities. With each success, he grew bolder, believing himself untouchable. However, his increasing confidence proved to be his downfall. In 1994, a bank employee grew suspicious of his activities and reported him to the authorities. A thorough investigation led to his arrest for insurance fraud. This time, the authorities, aware of his previous escape, were determined to keep him locked up for good. Russell was now in Houston, Texas, facing a lengthy sentence. But prison was merely an inconvenience to him, a puzzle waiting to be solved. He refused to accept his fate and spent days analyzing every possible avenue for escape. Within 2 months, he formulated an audacious plan that no one would see coming. Using the prison's phone system, he called the Harris County Records Office, impersonating Judge Charles Ham, the very judge who had sentenced him. His ability to mimic voices and speak with authority played a key role in the deception. With a calm and commanding tone, he convinced the clerk that a critical legal error had been made in his case, reinforcing his argument with fabricated case details and legal jargon. Every word was carefully chosen, making his ruse almost impossible to detect. The unsuspecting clerk, believing she was following proper procedure, made the official changes that would set Russell's plan into motion. With a commanding voice, he declared that Russell's parole bail had been reduced from $950,000 to a mere $45,000 due to an appellate decision. The unsuspecting clerk made the official changes, and Russell managed to convince a bail financing company to cover the amount. By the time authorities realized they had been deceived, Russell was already long gone. But freedom was fleeting. Just 5 days later, the police tracked him to Florida, where he was arrested again. This time, the court showed no mercy, sentencing him to 40 years in prison. Russell was now in a maximum security prison in Texas, where every move was monitored. The facility was equipped with the latest security measures, including surveillance cameras, frequent cell checks, and highly trained guards who followed strict protocols. Escape was considered impossible, and any attempt was met with swift and severe repercussions. Yet even in a fortress designed to be escape-proof, he found a way out. Observing every minor detail, Russell noticed flaws in the rigid system. Guards who grew complacent, routine shifts that created blind spots, and loopholes within the prison infrastructure. These small but crucial insights fueled his determination to break free once again, crafting a plan that would leave the authorities stunned. Observing the daily operations, Russell noticed that the prison had a medical wing, where doctors and nurses wore green scrubs. If he could blend in, he could simply walk out. Using contraband materials, he dyed his prison uniform green and layered it under his regular clothes. On the morning of December 13, 1996, he executed his plan. After breakfast, he discarded his outer uniform, revealing his green medical attire. With unwavering confidence, he walked through the prison corridors, heading towards the exit. A distracted female guard, busy on a phone call, barely glanced at him. Russell greeted her casually and gestured towards the door. Without hesitation, she pressed the button, and he stepped into freedom once again. Russell hitched a ride by convincing a homeowner that he was a doctor who had crashed his car after a night of heavy drinking. Then he took a taxi, claiming to be a surgeon on an emergency call. He vanished without a trace, until the authorities caught him in Mississippi. Russell's next escape was his most elaborate yet. Knowing that terminally ill inmates were often granted medical parole, he devised a shocking plan. He would fake having AIDS. His knowledge of medical procedures and ability to manipulate records played a crucial role in this deception. He began a rigorous process of physical transformation, drastically reducing his food intake to appear emaciated. He also studied the symptoms of the disease, mimicking them convincingly to deceive the prison's medical staff. Every action was meticulously planned. He even managed to forge lab results that corroborated his declining health. By the time the parole board reviewed his case, Russell had transformed into a frail, seemingly dying man. The deception was so convincing that even seasoned medical professionals were fooled, leading to the approval of his parole release. But Russell's plan was far from over. He still needed to stage his own death and vanish completely. For months, he starved himself, vomited frequently, and exhibited symptoms of a dying man. He bribed a medical staff member to falsify records, making it appear that he was in the final stages of the disease. When he eventually collapsed, doctors were convinced that he had only weeks to live. The parole board approved his release to a care center in Texas. But Russell wasn't done. Using a fake identity, he contacted the prison and care center, claiming to be a doctor named Adam Ruiz. He informed them that an inmate named Stephen Russell had died from complications. To solidify the ruse, he forged his own death certificate and mailed it to the authorities. Believing he was dead, the state officially closed his case. For the first time, Russell had truly escaped, not just from prison, but from existence itself. Russell had pulled off the impossible. But instead of disappearing, he returned to his old ways. Attempting to secure a $75,000 loan under a fake identity, he aroused suspicion at a bank. When the FBI was alerted, Russell feigned a stroke and was taken to a hospital. Yet even in a hospital bed, his cunning didn't wane. Posing as an FBI agent, he called the administration and ordered his own release. The hospital complied, but the FBI quickly realized the deception. A nationwide manhunt ensued, leading to his final capture in Dallas. This time, the authorities were done playing games. Russell was sentenced to 144 years in prison, placed in solitary confinement for 23 hours a day, under the highest security level. Even now, locked away since 1998, Stephen J. Russell remains a legend, an escape artist whose brilliance, deception, and audacity turned him into an icon of defiance. And that concludes the incredible story of the man who escaped prison 4 times. If you enjoyed this tale, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more thrilling stories.